Adesh
Ades,
Maharaj, Guruji.
Ades.
So today we're going to spend some time discussing this Twilight language, a kind of secret language that yogis use. So the Mahasiddha realizations were quite unconventional, and some people would say they were even thought to be dangerous. And they communicated using this Twilight language. In Sanskrit, it's sandhya-bhaṣa, and it's a form of cryptic, multi-layered poetry. So why is it called Twilight language?
Yeah, that's very interesting because Twilight language, when we talk about, it's very ancient, it has been developed at a very ancient time, that is about 7th, 8th century maybe. So when we look at the Twilight language, why it is necessary for the initiation, to have an initiation from a realized guru to understand the Twilight language, because the Twilight language was very much different kind of language because it had several meanings, right? And one meaning that was there in the surface, that was the ordinary meaning that people would literally understand. But below the surface, there would be a much more greater meaning, more deeper meaning, right? So that's why sandhya-bhaṣa became very prominent among the yogis and the siddhas, because it helped everyone to understand the real truth of what the yogis and the siddhas were talking about. So it was very much prominent at that time, right? And the language, like why it is like that also is to prevent, the spiritual truth, the spiritual wisdom, the teachings, from just becoming an intellectual philosophy, right? So that's why the siddhas of that time, they did not trust on books. They had no trust on books, right? They said, without the experience, then you will have no wisdom at all, right? Without that, you will not be able to have direct realization of that true self.
Right. So Twilight is an interesting place, right? It's neither light nor dark.
Yes.
It's kind of in between worlds.
Yes, so that is what it means, right? Because it is twilight, and when we look at the meaning, so you can see it is neither dark, right, or neither light. It is in between, it's a gap, right? So that's why we use this term, twilight, because it conceals something, and then it reveals something, right? So that's why we use this, especially the yogis, they concentrated on using this language.
I like when you're talking about it, being kind of, has to be experienced. So this language is designed to make the mind move beyond language. It's like a puzzle.
Yes, it is like a puzzle, because you need to go into the puzzle, right? To solve any puzzle, you got to deep dive into the puzzle. So it really, appeared very ordinary on the surface, but beneath it, there was something else, right? More meaning in it.
So on the surface, there'd be a lot of sort of mundane images, like house, city, river, boat, woman, bird, whatever is around you. But those would all be code for something within the yogic body and something much deeper that would lead to sahaj.
Yes, because that is how the language was constructed, right? So that the meaning would be hidden for an ordinary person's understanding, the literal meaning, right? But when we go deeper down, then we find more and more meanings, right? When we go and meditate on it. And then first what happens, the surface meaning, the ordinary meaning dissolves and more meaning arises, one after another, right? Going much more deeper. So that's what the sandhya-bhaṣa was very much, genuine about it.
Right. So, like a metaphor isn't just simply a metaphor, it becomes a multidimensional map
Yes, it does.
that
It
takes you deeper.
expresses
Yeah.
much more deeper thoughts.
And I'm also thinking it's quite similar to Vajrayana in the sense that, teachings have an outer, inner, and secret meaning. And so it's going deeper and deeper into the source, the center. So the outer meaning might be poetic.
Yeah, it can be poetic, right? And because that
Erotic.
is literally, and it is like very ordinary, right? And then it can go on. If we just look at the surface meaning, then we will just find the literal meaning and the poetic meaning. But when we look at the deeper side, it can mean something else, right? The surface meaning may be very poetic, it may be very erotic, or it may be very humorous.
Right.
You see? But the real meaning may be something else, which is much more deeper.
So there, like an inner meaning might be psychological, mystical, energetic.
Yeah.
And then there's even a higher meaning.
Yes.
Which is the direct recognition of ultimate reality.
Yes, very much. Yeah, so there we can see these things like when we look at the construction of the sandhya-bhaṣa, right? And then how sandhya-bhaṣa has influenced saints over the centuries, right? And in the most recent centuries, like in the 12th, 13th, 14th century, 15th century, saints, great saints, realized saints like Kabir Das, right, in India, and even Guru Nanak, the greatest saints of the Sikhs. So they were very much influenced by Gorakhnath's teachings, which were also written in sandhya-bhaṣa. Right.
So if we just look at this like Twilight language, some of the symbols in it, and the inner meanings, what are some of them, right? Like there's house,
Yeah.
which
So
can
like
mean
that we have
body.
Various meanings for those things, right?
Right, so house could mean body.
Yeah.
City could mean the subtle energy body.
Right.
A river could mean a nadi.
Right.
Or the flow of prana.
Yeah, it can mean the flow of prana, the flow of the conscious prana through the subtle body, right?
Two rivers is code for Ida and Pingala.
Ida and Pingala.
Central path.
Yes, central path can mean the susamna, right? So there you can see.
A bride.
Yes.
Is.
A bride is
Sakti.
Bride meaning like the Sakti nature.
Right.
Yeah, in the same way we have bridegroom, right?
For Shiva.
Understanding the consciousness, that means, right?
The king is the inner self.
Yeah, that is the ultimate reality.
Right.
The innate being, that what you are really.
And even within that, the meanings are not fixed, like these symbols.
Yes, very true, because the meanings can change with the situations, it can change with the person, like a Siddha expressing something, right? In this bhaṣa, the same house can mean something else, you see? So the meaning changes according to the situation, according to the text, right? The context of the matter. So the meaning just changes according to that conversation of the present time. That's why it was orally transmitted from the guru to the disciple.
Right.
Right. So that was how it is.
Yeah.
the bhasa was being used in that way.
Make it really difficult to translate.
Mhm.
So you've touched on this earlier, but another purpose of this sandhya-bhaṣa is to protect the esoteric teachings.
Yes.
And, it's similar to Vajrayana Buddhism,
Mhm.
in the sense that you have to receive a lung or the oral transmission and the wang,
Mhm.
instructions for the sadhana in order to really embody the sadhana, to understand it, to be able to practice it. You need to absorb the language and the visualization. So it really protects teachings from being misunderstood. I mean, unless the guru is giving you that insight, the transmission, it is incomprehensible to the ordinary person.
Yes, it is not for the ordinary because the person has to be initiated and has to remain under the guru in order to understand and learn this language, right? Only the guru will be able to decipher the meaning of that verse, whatever he is speaking about in the Sandhya language. Right? So that was necessary. So you can see the use of all the symbols and paradoxes, right, and riddles in the verses,
Yeah.
right? And it needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
We
The
need
puzzle.
to deeper into the puzzle to understand this, right?
And so, the Sahajan really had a significant cultural impact in Bengal, especially, right? And profoundly shaped medieval spiritual movements. And its songs, known as the Charyapada, are considered the earliest examples of Bengali literature. Centuries later, Tagore would win the Nobel Prize for poetry. So, are there any texts that used the Twilight language?
Yes, because it has been very interesting, the language itself, the Sandhya-bhaṣa. It has influenced me in this time and age. So it has influenced a lot of saints through the centuries as it was being passed down, right? And some saints like Kabir Das, the mystical poet,
Right.
right? And then we have Guru Nanak, a great leader of the Sikhs, who propounded this philosophy of Sikhism, and right?
He was really influenced by Gorakhnath.
Yes, very much influenced by the teachings of Gorakhnath.
Right.
Very much influenced by the bhasa that Gorakh used, and Gorakh was very much an expert in using the sandhya-bhaṣa, right?
Right.
We can see that how he explains in his verses, like, die, O yogi, die. Right? Death is sweet. Right? Now the person has to deep dive in order to understand the reality of this wisdom that Gorakh was giving us through this sandhya-bhaṣa, right? So you can see how much it was to deep dive into it, to understand. So that's why Gorakh used it very extensively at that time. And so this is the reason why the saints like Kabir, and Kabir also extensively uses this sandhya-bhaṣa in order to explain the truth, the reality, And that's the reason why he is very famous. And he was absolutely vocal. He never wrote anything down, The writers were his followers who did record these things for him. And the same way we have Guru Nanak, and he also, in his book, we can find 100 times the mention of Gorakh, and mention of his teachings, which he accepted because he was also a true follower of the Sahaja, as Gorakh was.
Yeah, just going back to that comment you made earlier about die, O yogi, die, as an example of this Twilight language. I mean, there's three components to that, right? There's
Yes.
the death of the literal body,
Yes.
literal death of the physical body.
Yes.
And then there's the death of the ego, the constructed self.
Yes. So that is the reality there of this verse, right? When we deep dive, then we see the meaning is different, right? The yogi is telling us to kill all, destroy it, extinguish the ego, right?
Right.
And all the self-construct because of the ego, right? The
Yeah.
mind is led into the ego, and then because of ego, the people, they self-construct themselves. They put a curtain over it, right? So Gorakh is simply, you see in this bhaṣa, he's just saying, right? You remove that.
Right.
That is death. You die to these things.
And then at the very, very heart of this is the deathless state.
Yes.
That...
And then you will achieve the deathless state. That's
Yeah.
what he says. Like when you die to these things, then what happens is you awaken your awareness, right? And this awakened awareness will always help you, guide you to see your innate nature, right? The naturalness, who you
Right.
really are, and not the covering that you have put on.
Yeah. So it really takes you into these
Yes,
deep layers.
very deep layer and very profound, and a lot of wisdom in it.
I just want to go back to some of these other metaphors that are, used in the Siddha poetry.
Yes, yes.
So, for instance, there's the woman, right?
Yes,
Which-
very interesting. Because woman, has the most striking feature in the poems of the Siddhas, you see. But to understand that, we have to deep dive, right? Because the ordinary meaning is something else, and the real meaning is something else there, right?
Like people on the ordinary level would just think it's erotic.
Yeah, it's just that. Like woman is one subject, then like we have lovers in the verses, mentioned, concerts, right? And for a superficial mind, which is thinking only and seeing only on the ordinary surface, it just appears to him like simply something erotic,
Right.
But actually in the tantric context or going deeper, finding the meaning, then the meaning is totally different, right? It can represent a female tantric partner, practitioner.
Consort, yeah.
Right. It can represent the prajna, right? It can represent the transcendent wisdom, the Shakti, the female, construct, right? Then it can speak about Shakti, or it can also be speaking about the dynamic power of the consciousness itself, right?
Yeah.
The subtle body, the awakened feminine principle, right? Or the union of wisdom and methods, practice, and then the union of emptiness with compassion.
Right.
And,
So this is why the poetry can appear like sexually explicit to one person,
yes,
and mystical
and very much mystical for
to another.
a seeker who is really seeking for wisdom. Yes.
Like another image metaphor is a man crossing a river.
Mm-hmm.
So if you unpack that deeper, on the surface, a man is just crossing a river in a
Yes,
boat. But
that-
what's really happening on a deep spiritual
Yes,
level?
it's something else, right? So it can have many meanings, as I said before, right?
Yeah.
But on the surface level, you just see, oh yeah, when we see the image, then we say, oh yes, the man is in a boat and he's crossing the river. That's simple, that's all, right?
What does the river mean?
Now here, when we go deeper, right, then we can see that there's a river.
Yeah.
The yogi is talking about the river. So the river can mean the samsara,
Yeah.
right, that we are in, right? And then the boat is
Which is
there.
unreliable
Yes,
and
samsara
laden with dissatisfaction.
Yes, it's unstable, right, very much, and it is full of distractions.
Right.
So then there's the boat.
Right.
The boat means safety. You're secure when you're in a boat. So what is that boat? Yeah, a very safe boat. So that is the teaching.
The yoga path.
Yes, the path, the yoga path, all the
Right.
practices, right,
Yeah.
the Siddhas has given us. That is the boat when we go deeper in. Then the man in the boat can be the guru, right?
Right.
Who's directing the boat. So,
Leading you to the far shore.
yes. And then we have the far shore there, right?
Right.
And we have to reach that shore. And then there is the boat of enlightenment, of sadhya, right?
On
That
the
is-
far shore.
Yes, that is
Right.
the truth. That is the real innate nature that you will see. Right, so you can see the metaphor is so beautiful,
It's
and when we
amazing.
dive deeper into these meanings, then the meanings are so wonderful, so realistic, and still it applies to us in
Yeah.
this age also,
Right.
in this time also.
Like a simple line about two rivers meeting
Mhm.
in the central city
Mhm.
can sound like geography,
Mhm.
but to the initiated yogi, it refers to Ida, Pingala.
Yes, it refers to this.
Sushumna.
The yogi is talking about the Ida and Pingala meeting at the Sushumna, the central, central of the word there, right? And when we die, what is central? That is the Sushumna. So the Ida and Pingala opens in the Sushumna.
It's
So that is-
referring to Kundalini.
Yes, and absolutely that is all about the Kundalini there. Very much, because the yogis really love this language.
So fascinating.
Yeah, and
isn't
when
it?
we really analyze that also, we also feel so much of goodness and happiness, that profound kind of excitement of that spiritual truth,
Yeah.
right? And makes you drop tears from your eyes.
So the Siddhas deliberately collapsed the distinction between the sacred and ordinary life. So the body becomes more than the physical body. When a Siddha says, I found the treasure in my house, the house might mean the physical body, but it can also mean the embodied human condition, the subtle yogic body, the field of consciousness. The body is
Yes,
a temple.
very true. Because there again, you see, for an ordinary person, when we say house, he'll just think about the house only. He cannot go much deeper in it. Like, so it can mean, like for the yogi, the physical body, right, which embodies the real body inside, right? Or it can mean the temple in which the real embodiment is, all right? So the definition, when we go deeper and deeper, the meaning, many different meanings which are more deeper appears before us,
Yeah.
right? When we meditate on it.
Yeah, so all of these traditions from the Mahasiddhas, the Nats, Sahajan, and the Bauls, they place a lot of emphasis on the body
Yes, yes,
and the practices, the subtle
yes,
tantric practices within the body.
yes. This was very true. That's why they were following the teachings of Gorakhpa, that the body is important, right? It is a vehicle. You got to look after your vehicle.
It is the vehicle to Sahaj,
Yes,
which we'll
you
talk
got to
about
purify your vehicle,
in a whole other video.
Yes.
So just getting back to the Charyapada,
Mhm.
you didn't really talk much about it, and I'm just curious about these Baul minstrels. When I traveled through West Bengal, I met them. I went to a couple music festivals, these devotional bhakti singers.
Yes.
And then I came to know that a lot of them were Sahaj yogis. And one of these, back in the 7th century, was Busuku.
Gorakkhpa.
He was
He
the
was-
pioneer
Yes, he was
of
one
this
of
language.
the great Mahasiddha from the Vajrayana tradition.
All right.
That was really at its height at that time, the practice of Vajrayana. We have so many siddhas from the Vajrayana tradition, and one of them was him. And he is also regarded, as you said, like the pioneer of the sandhya-bhaṣa, the Twilight Language, because we can see that in the 7th and the 8th century, right? And then he made songs which are known as the Charyapadas, right? That is the pada, that is the verses of the enlightened, the verses of the siddhas, right. So he has his verses, and he used to sing them, not to write them, right? So he was singing these beautiful songs, and they were all constructed in sandhya-bhaṣa. That was the beauty of it. And it was at once realized by the Bauls in Bengal at that time, right? So the Bauls picked up his teachings, his style of sandhya-bhaṣa, and then the truth that was exposed through the sandhya-bhaṣa. So the Bauls were really after this, you know, and that's why we find them singing the verses of Goraknath, right? The Sabadis of Goraknath, the Banis of Goraknath, you know, because this is all in sandhya-bhaṣa. And Goraknath, as I told you before, was one of the best user, you know, of sandhya-bhaṣa.
Right.
So you see, the Bauls were so much influenced by it that they sang these verses, right, which was passed down by...
Even to today, I mean, they're still very...
Still, we find the Bauls today also
Yeah.
singing these beautiful verses that were created at this time, and it has full of wisdom in it.
Right.
Right, very much. And like Basuku Pa's one very famous verse, right, which has been passed down from the centuries, and still today I hear the Bauls in Bengal and many places in India, you know, where we find the Bauls singing this beautiful verse. Very famous. It's coming from the Mahasiddha.
What's it called?
Well, the title exactly, I do not remember the title, but I do remember them singing this song, and then the lyrics of the song was really in the sandhya-bhaṣa, you know, and the song was talking about, you know, simply the Siddha is comparing himself to a musk deer, you know. And then in the song he says, like, this musk deer is always running around, and why he's running around? Because he's looking for that scent, right, that aroma which has been produced inside his body, the musk, right? And he doesn't realize that it's inside his body. So the musk is always looking for it, running around, always looking only outside, you know. And he fails to find that outside because he doesn't realize in the end that it is inside his body, you know. That's why he says, there are so many descriptions in this. He even compares it himself to the meat, you know, right? So because of the meat, because of the musk, right?
Right.
He has to die. You see? So all this is very beautiful, you know, and this I used to really enjoy this Baul singing, especially this verse about the musk deer, you know, and how the deer is really looking for this. So much, you know, related.
Definitely, like the Sahaj philosophy, they're, you know, searching within the human body.
Yes.
You know,
And you can see that
inwards.
the Bauls were, you know, truly very much alike Sahaj,
Yeah.
you know, the practitioner.
They have that other song, Man of the Heart.
Yes, this is another one that is very famous, you know, when they sing the man of the heart. That means it has a very true meaning. And here also the Baul is trying to tell you that the man of the heart is that innate nature of yourself, that consciousness, right? Look for it, find it, you know, absolutely related with it. And so that's why it's very famous also, right? Meaning that man is the real man, right? You are constructing yourself with false man, right? Putting a cover over yourself of which you are not, you know. So there also you can see very similar expression. And as the Bauls were like this, you know, and these beautiful things were going on, and then it's very historical also, you know, because there are evidence of all this in our history also, right? And the historical event is about how the Brahmins, you know, invaded India and how they started destroying Buddhism all over India. And then obviously all this was Buddhism culture that was coming on, the Baul singing about, you know, sadh. So the Brahmins, they were destroying at that time because we already have a lot of evidence about that. And then they also attacked the Bauls, you know, and even the Buddhists, because it was actually all Buddhism that time. And many of the Buddhism, like the monks and the bhikshus, they were also massacred. They were killed by these people. And they burned down their literature. You know, a lot of literature was just burned down and destroyed by these
Well,
people.
all of Nalanda.
Yes. And a little part, then there is another historical event here connected with it. A little part of that literature, maybe just about 40% of it, I think, was saved. And how it was saved was like it was smuggled away into Nepal
Yeah.
and brought to the king. And the king had that in the
Put
library.
in the library. The
In the
Kaiser,
Royal Library.
right, the Royal Library.
Yes. You see?
Yeah.
So you can see that part was preserved here in Nepal. And the language that they used that time was Pali.
Yeah.
You see? It was Pali, definitely Pali, and it was only Pali, And later on, Pali started developing different languages, even Bengali. I think it was just developed like during the 10th century, the language.
Yeah.
And even like Nepali, That's why they have Li at the end. It is related to Pali. White Bengali, white Nepali, And then another very famous language is Maithili. The Tarai people, they speak this language, Maithili. And Maithili is also very much rooted into this structure, you see, of Pali structure. So, you see, this is so historical, the evidence of finding the verses,
Right.
right?
So smuggling
Yes.
these very, very precious
Yes.
teachings
And
that were threatened.
preserved, yeah, it was
And,
threatened and it got preserved here with the king.
And you could be killed if you found,
Many
were
of them
found
were killed. They
to
were,
be carrying
yes.
these dangerous
Yes,
ideas
obviously it
of
was
the
very risky
Mahasiddhas.
at that time because the Brahmins were all over, That's why many monks, they ran away, from India, right? The Theravada monks, they ran away to Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, so many places like that. And many of the monks who were practicing Mahayana, Vajrayana, they had to run away, and they mostly ran away to Tibet, China, and many other places like that, right?
Yeah.
So this was happening, the real history. So we can see it's a part of history here, the Bauls, and how they were developing the...
So these days, this Twilight language isn't nearly as popular and used as it was during the time of Tantra,
Yes.
from the 5th to the 9th century, or
Yes,
something like
very
that.
much,
Maybe 12th century.
Yes, yes. It was all.
So it's really, yeah,
So it was expanding this way.
celebrated, and
Yes, it was very much celebrated.
now
used.
it's still pretty
Yeah,
underground.
you can
right?
see Kabir Das, as I told you,
Yeah.
this famous poet. He uses sandhya-bhaṣa in his verses. It's so beautiful verses. Nowadays people sing those verses in beautiful voices. I hear a lot of recordings of Kabir's,
Right.
verses being sang by people. So they are very beautiful, in this bhasa. So these people, they accept it. And today we accept it. Like myself, I accept that. I'm digging into it and I'm realizing the real truth from these writings, right? And I'm happy to also share this knowledge with the world so that they will understand the truth, the true nature of what people are getting into, right? People are losing themselves. Like the other day, I think we had one question about I am intelligent, I am enlightened, right? I am enlightened, and then Gorakh just tells you like just the opposite. Who is not enlightened, you see? So it's so beautiful, the bhasa.
Because everybody's enlightened.
Yes, everyone is enlightened. Everyone is there. You have that in yourself,
The potentiality
right? Yes, that
is
is there.
always
That
there.
energy is there, hiding, latent, sleeping. That serpent, in Kundalini.
They need
The
to
same thing. That serpent.
understand this secret language.
Yes. To understand this,
Yeah.
right? We have to dive deeper. And then really see the truth of what the yogis were really trying to express, telling the truth.
Yeah.
You see?
Well, I look forward to more of the Gorakh Sabadi. Now we're going to get back to looking at these sandhya-bhaṣa verses that Goraknath writes and unpack them and the language.
Yes,
Look
yes,
at the
yes.
structure of the language.
Yeah, that will be very exciting again, because we'll be again dealing with some of the verses, very interesting verses of Goraknath, and maybe we talk more about that, all these verses at that time, and maybe everyone will enjoy that also. Thank you so much.
Adesh.
Thank you.
Adesh.